Well, hello, everyone. Can you believe it? We are in season 2. I mean, who knew? Podcasts have seasons. Okay, they do. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. It means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to you. And here we are. It's season 2, and my first guest, episode 1, season 2, is the one and only Becky, don't call me Rebecca, Byrkit. Becky Byrkit, teenage Riopelle fan turned educator, turned published poet, turned professor, and Jerry Riopelle assistant, family friend, and so on and so on. And she's a riot. She's nuts and wouldn't have it any other way. Let's go. Welcome back to the Riopelle Room.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. My guest is already laughing. She's laughing at me already.
Well, I think you're talking to me, and I'm like, I'm everyone.
Well,
hello.
You are everyone, but let me talk to the other everyone.
Okay.
Just for a minute. Hello, everyone else. This is Paul Riopelle. Welcome back to the Riopelle Room. I guess we can call this season 2. I'm uncomfortable with podcasts having seasons. I don't know why it's weird to say it, but this is actually season 2.
That's wonderful. That means the first season was entirely successful, you know.
So this is room for being a disaster is what you're saying.
You avoided disaster with your podcast endeavor, with your fabulous podcast endeavor.
So yes, everyone, thank you for joining Riopelle Room again. And as you hear my guest, but you don't know who that is yet.
No.
I will tell you.
Yeah, better.
Do we call you Rebecca or Becky?
No.
What do you? Oh, gee.
What are you insane?
She's already pissed at me. Okay.
I'm done. You have to fill up the time on your own for the next half hour, whatever.
Okay. My guest is Becky Byrkit. Welcome to the Riopelle Room, Becky.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome so much. I'm so glad you were able to visit. And
I love this show.
A little bit about Becky. Becky is an assortment of things. She's a published poet. She is a professor. She's also a family friend for a long time of the Riopelle family. And
family friend for a long time.
For a long time, Shibi. And she's helped out of all the Riopelle. Well, we'll get to when you actually started doing that.
Okay.
But if you were at any of the Riopelle shows for the past 15 years maybe?
Yeah.
Becky probably had a hand in helping out. Yeah. We have to go back. You know the drill. I'm sure you've heard the drill.
Oh no.
If you've listened, yes, it's going to happen.
The chimes.
It's going to happen.
Oh God.
Here we go.
Chimes.
We're going back. Hold on.
Oh.
There you
God.
go. Yes.
Where am I?
I don't know.
Where am I?
I have no idea. So Becky, let's start at the beginning. Let's start at your beginning. We'll get to where you we'll get into where you entered the Riopelle world.
Sure.
But because I'm curious about this because you are a poet. I want to know, when did you first know that words were your thing? You wanted to put words together and make them mean something. And when did you realize? I'm sure at a very young age.
Yeah, and you're leaping.
Am I leaping?
And I will. I'll sort of. I will.
Do you want me to start with the womb? What do you want me to start?
I would kind of because actually your dad was so much part of that whole word thing and the love of words thing. So I'm gonna go.
His music, you mean, not meaning it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, his music and later, later his like words, mouth words.
Right.
But sure, like real quick background. I was named Becky when I was born here in Arizona. I'm an Arizona girl.
Yes.
Go way back.
Right.
Born here, born down the road, and named Becky. My father did not want to name me Rebecca. He wanted my name to be Becky after Becky Thatcher.
Oh.
And, so literary allusion right off the bat. And we sort of moved to Southern California. I lived a very hippie life in SoCal and Fallbrook. And I had actually come up incidentally as having kind of a sophisticated musical sense from a very young age. I mention this because I think a lot of Riopelle fans totally relate to that, you know. A lot of music fans, you know, in general, remember their early years as a radio listener and their early influences and all that. And I was just thinking about it this morning, and you know, Jerry loved stories as I do. So I had told him this story, you knew it well, so it's your mom, that on the school bus, you know, this long school bus ride to the 6th grade, we had this totally stoned bus driver who would just crank the radio. And at that time, you can date all of this, but
I thought you were going to say you could date all those bus drivers.
Well, you could. I did. I'm telling you, I had a sophisticated young life.
When you realized your affinity for poetry or poem, putting words
okay,
together.
we're getting to that, but it was actually music first.
Okay, good.
Right?
I was going to ask that too. So tell me about that.
So I am trying my best to use the bus as a vehicle to stay on track, I think, chronologically.
I see what you did there. Use the bus as a vehicle. I got it.
You're too good. Yeah. You're too good. See, I'm not going to be able to
maneuver. People don't know that. The two of us together, we're just nonstop laughter.
Oh,
so
it's redonkulous.
We're never going to get through this if I don't shut up. So I'm going to really let you tell the story. And I'm not going to.
No, you're not.
I know.
No, you're not. I know that's not true.
Go, Becky.
But I loved, as everybody else on the planet loved, listening to me and Bobby McGee, right? Janice's version that was all over the AM radio waves at about that time. And I came home and told my mom about it. My mom said, you know, I used to date the guy that wrote that song. Huh. And I was like 9, or I think 10, something like that. And so I was like, who's that? And she had dated Chris Christopherson at Pomona College. And that factoid intrigued my 9-year-old music listening self, radio married self. And so we went to this little record store in Fallbrook and bought all of his records. The Silver Tongue Devil and I had just come out. He was so cute on that album cover. And I used to listen to that record over and over. That's where I learned about liner notes and and albums and how they worked in your hand. You know, it's sort of something to put in your hand to take really, really good care of. And I just experienced those songs on a, excuse the expression, a whole nother level, you know. It was like there's so much going on at once. It was just, the sound was so good and the voice was so great and the songs themselves had so much range. And so I just, again, really, really loved the liner notes. I would memorize, without realizing it, that I was memorizing all the lyrics and really studying them super carefully. And I was a little writer girl. I like to write my
Did you take creative writing classes in high school and stuff, junior high?
In junior high, for sure. And of course, I wrote the kind of stuff that's very typical. It started out very typical, youthful writing, very romantic. But I noticed things about the lyrics I was reading that, from really great songwriters of the time, that they were unpredictable. And a lot of them, I started to notice distinctions among them. For example, there were songs that told stories, right? Dylan and Christopherson, very good at that. Sounds ridiculous. They were very good at that. Good for you, fellas. They were pretty darn good. Yes, I know. Good for you. Good for you, fellas.
Yeah. Keep it up. Keep it up, guys.
This 6th grader over here thinks you're doing a fine job. Yeah. But there also was totally like non-narrative or non-storytelling songs that were purely lyrical. You know, they were just expressions of love or joy or darkness. Songs about dreams, things that weren't necessarily bound to the conventions of story. And I was entranced by that too. So, and that led me into a lot of the blues and led me to instrumentals and jazz even. And then there were stories that were just kind of telling you what to do. I don't know. Later I called them rhetorical songs, and they went on sort of historically to make statements, about how to live your life in the world and things like that.
Right.
So I just started kind of thinking about them in these categories. So later, we're living in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I continue to be this humongous, at that point, fangirl and record collector, and I was still young. I was still 12, 13 years old, and I had a couple of friends that were also similarly impassioned with music, and they had musical talent. I did not. I had zero. It was quite crushing.
Did you attempt it? I was going to ask you, did you play an instrument? Did you ever try to play an instrument?
I tried.
What was that instrument?
Well, I tried to sing, of course. Right away, we had a gorgeous grand piano in the home. I used to crawl under it and listen to music because it was like private and had interesting acoustics underneath the piano. I could not play that. I have a Riopelle story about that piano later. Okay. And, no. My father gave me a cheap guitar and no.
Did you learn chords? Do you know any chords?
I learned one.
Did you learn how to play Smoke on the Water at least?
Actually, it was one of my first records, and all of my friends could at least play those chords. Okay. My friend, bass player, could do. So anyway, so time goes on. I become exposed to Jerry because he got so big in Arizona. Right. And I was, like I said, in Arizona by that time and listening to KDKB and the great Phoenix rock and roll stations. So I was, just again entranced by what I was seeing on the page. And I was very concerned that I knew that I was a terrible musician, but I was very concerned that I was like a terrible writer too. So, I just struggle with that. Life goes on. I'm 17, right? And I'm out of school and but I'm still living at home, and I have this job in a very cool head shop in Flagstaff called the Junk Company. And this store was really, really neat. It had actual artisans that, worked inside, and they were jewelers and glass blowers and weavers and meerschaum pipe carvers. And it was a really cool store. I just worked there as kind of the girl behind the register. I didn't have any talent for any of those things either. What I was hired to do, though, was to write a radio show that they produced through the college. And that was cool because I wanted to be in radio. I've always wanted to be in radio, as you know, Paulsville.
What makes a owner of the shop or the manager say, "Hey, I want you to write a radio"? What brought that connection?
Well, his name was Brian Kent, and he was very good at celebrating people's talents. He would find out that somebody had a particular talent and want them to install them in the store and somehow make that part of the whole vibe of the place. It was kind of this utopian hippie with money kind of place. I didn't have any, and the other hippies didn't have any, but he did. Brian did. And he had, I think he had visions of becoming a producer of some sort or a promoter of some sort. And he started promoting these concerts in Flagstaff.
So anyway, he saw something in you and wanted you to write a radio program.
He knew that I wanted to be part of whatever was going on there. And he also knew, I'm sure I expressed how much I, loved music. So, Brian at the Junk Company hired me to be kind of a errand girl for these concerts that he was putting on. I would just run around and do stuff, pick up things and move things around. And he said, oh, I've got Jerry Riopelle. He's coming. And it was in November of 77. He said, he's going to be here for 4 nights, 2 shows apiece, two shows every night. I happened to know that he was just coming off a long leg of shows down in Tucson at the time. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to be so tired. But I was out of my mind with excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I remember I had sewn this whole outfit. I was a little seamstress, I had my simplicity pattern. And so I had this cute little outfit that I had made and showed up to
You made an outfit just for the Jerry Riopelle show.
Right. And it was very elaborate. It was so cool.
Do you have
it was
a
like
picture of this thing?
I do.
Oh,
I do. But you've got to know that it was like a camisole. It was a very, very chic hippie girl outfit, camisole, long skirt, looking good. And I showed up at the venue, and the first thing Brian said was, here, put this on. It was this giant, super ugly T-shirt that he wanted me to wear to be part of the crew there,
right, right.
And I was like, oh, crap. I worked for months on this thing. Anyway, so my job was to tear tickets. All the shows were sold out in advance, and so I had
Tell
to
me
check
the venue
tickets.
again. I can't remember.
It was called Leroy's Sunken Ship. It was part of the Lamplighter
Got it.
Hotel.
Okay. So your job was to tear up tickets. What happened?
Tear tickets and check people's ID. Make sure that they could get into the bar.
Ironically, you couldn't get into the bar.
Exactly. So that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I also got that first night. I also got another job, which was to go to Jerry at the not intermission, but before the encore, grab him and show him the band where backstage was and where it was all kind of set up for him to just sort of hang out while they anticipated coming back on stage. And so that was my job. And I'm telling you, Paul, it was like almost too much for this kid. It's like, I like talk to him and I have some kind of oh my God. And it's like, yeah, you need to do that. We need to know that that's being, and I was like, I'm on it. It's all good. I'm doing it. I was very serious. Took the whole thing very seriously. And Brian introduced me to Jerry and said, this is how it, let's look for her and this is how it goes. And sure enough, like when it was time to break at the end of the first show, he said into the mic, he goes, gotta go. Where's my girl? Where's Becky? Where's my girl?
Cool.
And I ran up, I grabbed his hand, right? I don't even know how I did it. I mean, I'm sort of losing it. But yeah, I take everybody back. Dave was there, John was there.
Was it a kind of place that was so packed that he wouldn't have been able to walk through the crowd?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of
I was barely, in fact, that's why he was calling for me, is because I could barely get to
That's what I'm envisioning, yeah.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. And in those days, they'd pack them in. They didn't really care if you were double, occupancy.
Right.
And everybody's wild, and the place is just full of smoke and people are just out of their minds kind of. But I understood that there needed to be some semblance of organization and control, the masses. And I loved that feeling. I mean, I'm a Virgo, and plus I just love that feeling of being included and having a task. So
he summoned you to the stage.
So this goes, and this goes for 2 shows. And then I'm feeling very comfortable during the second show that night. And I mentioned to somebody bragging idiotically, I'm not even old enough to be here.
Oh, wow.
Let alone checking people's IDs. I'm 17. Barely. So, yes, I'm barely 17. And this guy comes in at the end of the second show. I'm just hanging out with the band, having the time of my life. And the guy goes, you can't come back here. In fact, you got to go right now. I've just heard that you're 17. It was the guy that worked for the venue. It wasn't part of my own, part of the junk company. They all knew how old I was, but it was part. And he said, you know, we can't have you here. And I was like, shit. And Jerry was like, what's going on? And I said, I'm sorry, I'm 17, so I'm not allowed to be here. And they're kind of kicking me out. And I hope you have a great time in Flagstaff. And it was a pleasure, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, excuse me. And he goes to the guy and he says, she's with me.
Wow.
Yeah. He goes, she's part of my crew and she can come here anytime she wants. She can come in here. She can go anywhere she wants. She's with me. And the guy goes, oh, okay.
Well, there you go. That's great. I never heard that story. That's great. I love it.
I'll tell you what happened to me in my head, in my heart. My poor little fangirl heart was like, for life, I was, you know, devoted at that moment.
Yeah, right.
I was like, that was so crazy cool and such a lovely, heart-filling thing to do.
That's a great story. I love that.
I know.
I totally can see that too. I can see that happening.
I know. Anybody that knows him actually can completely see that, you know. And that's when I met your mom. That's when I met Dave and John and Tamara and
George. Was George in the band? Yeah,
and George. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, George. Absolutely.
Who was playing drums then? Do you remember? Gibson? Jerry Gibson? Or
I believe it was Jerry. I have to go back and...
Oh, you know, if it was 77, it probably was Gibson. I'm sure it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And anyway, to conclude this endless story, I did come back the next night, but with a whole different attitude. I had my outfit on, for example. Oh,
you got to wear the
that
outfit.
I had sewn.
Oh, yes. Now you're getting bold. You know what? I'm not going to wear the t-shirt. Now that Jerry's got my back, I'm wearing my outfit.
That's right. Well, I didn't work for the, you know, production crew anymore. I was working
for Jerry.
I was with Jerry. Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
so great. That is great. I love that story. I love that it's a story that I've never heard. I've never really heard the details. I mean, I knew you met them in Flagstaff. I knew you were young. I didn't realize the whole, she's with me. She can stay here. That's wonderful. I love that. So, well, let's go a little bit. Let's play a song, but I want to know if you want to kind of tell the story of your connection with this song before we play it or after. And the song I want to play is from the Take a Chance album. Mm-hmm. It's called Red Ball Texas Flyer.
Okay, yes.
And this is something that you picked, and there's a reason.
I actually taught this. I became a teacher a few years after the Flagstaff story. I became a teacher, and I used to teach this song in my classes.
Okay, here we go, everyone. This is Red Ball Texas Flyer.
Well, I'm driving to New Orleans on a half a tank of gas. Got a Jesus on my dashboard, got a third wife on my ass. They don't think I'm gonna make it, but I swear I think I can. In my Red Ball Texas Flyer, I'm a Red Ball Texas man. I left Big D this morning, just about to break of day. 16 minutes in a bowl of chili. Well, I'm bound to find my way. If I get to
we go.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah. So I want to hear the story about Red Ball, Texas Flyer.
Oh, well, thank you very, very much. No, I'm not kidding. I get kind of like, I get a little choked up once in a while, for sure, with a number of these songs that are very, very powerful for me. I did actually re-listen to Stuart's podcast with you, talking about this song. And of course, it was a must play for all shows, and no exceptions there. And just so joyful. So, and this kind of ties in with my sort of theme about, appreciating lyrics and storytelling in song. That was very important to me. And when I became a teacher, also at kind of a young age, I was in my mid-20s in Tucson, a town that loves Jerry too. And I had the fortune of being advised, because you have a lot of insecurities when you go into something like teaching for the first time when you're young, and making sure that you're kind of doing it right and so forth. And I just was advised wisely to just teach it as you love it. Bring what you love and you do know to the class in sort of a search of what you want to know. There's kind of a balance going on there, what you know and what you want to know. I brought in Red Ball because I was doing a lesson for several weeks on music lyrics and what kind of lyrics were out there. And again, we went back to the storytelling. We went to the rhetorical, we went to the lyrical, and I would bring in 3 songs of Jerry's. I brought in Red Ball as an example of the perfect story song, the perfect narrative. And I brought in Talk to Me as the perfect rhetorical song, because he's basically telling you how to save a relationship, addressing a specific other person. And that's a very rhetorical situation. Me to you, this is what you need to do in order for this to go well. And the third song, which I called the lyrical or most poetic song that I brought to the class, was So Young, which is, of course, another totally iconic Riopelle song, which is pure exaltation. It's just pure joy. And I called it a love letter to life. That's what Jerry thought too, and that's how he felt. And so we looked at those 3 ways of writing songs.
It was a birthday present to himself.
It was 35 and thinking he'd seen it all. But he's just, all it is about just the joys of waking up in the morning and having breakfast in bed, and then, the dancing like a fool under the moonlight. And the songs are actually lined out. The lyrics are lined out in what I call an interesting poetic way. They sort of work nicely on the page. A lot of lyrics do not. They're not designed to work that way. They're designed with other sort of information in mind musically, but these are just good words that people that love this song treasure. So I brought in Red Ball. It was so funny because all the other students had to bring in their their songs too. And before I presented my own offering of Jerry and Stuart's Red Ball, I remember I had a guy, let's call him Josh, I don't remember what his name was, but Josh was my student. And the song that I asked these students to like summarize the narrative in their chosen storytelling lyrics. And this song that Josh chose was Stairway to Heaven. So Josh goes, and as narrative, they have to talk about character, setting, and chronology. What happens, So he's like, well, there's like this lady, right, who like knows how, all that glitters is like gold. Okay, right. And she's like buying the stairway to heaven. And when she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed. With a word, she can get what she came for. And it's like, and I'm like, okay, Josh, that's good. That's good. All right. But what happens if there's a bustle in your hedgerow, by the way? Don't be alarmed now. It's just a spring clean for the May Queen. So it's all good. Moving on past Josh's input, I just talked about how in the perfect Red Ball, Texas Flyer story, we have this hero, right? He's the speaker, and he's driving to New Orleans, on a half a tank of gas. Right there, we're with him, and we get a little backstory. Got a Jesus on my dashboard, so we kind of get a feeling for what it looks like in that cab. Got a third wife on my ass. Uh-oh.
Right.
He's rolling down the road. A lot happening already. And, he's a red ball. If I get to Natchitoches, we don't see that word in a song very often.
Not very often.
Then they'll notice who I am, my Red Ball Texas Flyer. I'm a Red Ball Texas man. So the narrator has a really good attitude. Mm-hmm. He's a happy dude. I just love the joy in this song too, He has adventures. He's rolling around the green with this in Bunkie, Louisiana with a redheaded girl with a razor in her hand, and he gets in trouble with her old man. And then he winds up at the Villeray. And this is how this story ends. He just goes to the house of the seven sisters, becomes the seventh son. I mean, this is good for this guy. Yeah. He's just going to this far out New Orleans whorehouse, and everybody wants to live together. It's a total utopian ending. Let's rock, which is super important in a narrative. Yeah. Tune, because you've got to end it, It's got to be drawn to some conclusion. It was just brilliant. It was so perfect, so uplifting. I love that. So I had written about it. I shared it with Stuart and with his wife, and they liked that I had brought it into the class and what the class had come up with. And so it was this fusion of things that I did know. I did know a thing or two about music lyrics by that point, yeah. And storytelling.
Yeah, Red Ball, great song. When did you reunite later years? I was thinking it was I met you at that time as well, and it was in Flagstaff. Mm-hmm. You were kind of managing the Flagstaff Book Festival. Is that what it was called?
No. Oh. Not even close.
Not even close. I don't believe you. I know I'm close. So don't tell me I'm not even close.
Paul, you're always close.
Yeah.
There's all closeness. That is
yes.
That is
okay. What was
it? Going ahead in time.
When did we meet?
I returned to Flagstaff after many travels in life and decades, actually. So I wind up as the director of the Northern Arizona Book Festival.
What did I call it?
You call the Flagstaff Library Time with old people.
I call it the Flagstaff Book Festival, so it's called something else. Go ahead.
You called the Black Sabbath reunification.
The Black Sabbath reunion, yes, with Becky Byrkit and Ozzy Osbourne. No,
You did.
We referred to it because I remember when the gig was coming up, we called it the Flagstaff Book Festival. But you're saying it was called something else. So tell me, lay it on me. Go ahead.
It was the Northern Arizona Book Festival.
That sounds better.
And it was big. At least that third year that I directed it, it was a large show. It went on for a week. We had good acts, We had wonderful authors. We had Lemony Snicket was there, the poet Billy Collins, who was poet laureate at the time, and lots of music. I really liked having a very festive vibe for the whole thing. I wanted Jerry to come because Flagstaff loves Jerry still, and I did too. You put me in touch with Danny Zalisco a couple of months before this ever happened. I did? Somehow I got in touch with Danny. I thought it was you had this sort of chat room on the website.
Yes,
and
a forum, like a bulletin board forum type of thing.
And I said, hi, I'm me.
Oh.
I'm with the band. I'm with the crew. I have been since I was 17. You may not know me, but yeah, really. And you put me in touch with Danny Z, with DZ.
Okay. That makes sense.
And Danny actually put me in touch directly with Jer, and we just established a email friendship that was funny because I guess I just wanted him to realize what a nut job I was right off the bat.
Yes.
What a ridiculous person he was dealing with. And he was all in.
Yes.
I was asking him advice about my love life. And so all you guys trundle up. And I, like I said, I already had what I consider to be a sort of warm and funny friendship going with Jerry. I was very excited to have you guys there. It was like, I felt like it was my gift to my hometown. I took it sort of personally that way too. It was like, look, you guys, look what I brought you. How about that, huh?
Yeah. And you actually lived in their Hawaii house for a while.
Oh, yeah. So I got, and that was worked out right away. I mean, that actually, we talked about that very first night because I had previously lived in Hawaii and I kind of knew my way around the islands and I understood the vibe and I understood missing Hawaii when you couldn't be there. That's a real strong, powerful feeling, and they were telling me about the Kona house and I said, well, if you need me to live there, I will. And they said, well, okay. And
if you need me to live in your Hawaii house, with view of the ocean and, if you really need me to.
They built themselves.
Yes.
And
it was a great house. I miss that house.
He would get so moved by certain vistas on the island. Mm-hmm. And as you're descending in Kailua Town, he'd actually tear up often. He just thought it was so beautiful. And he was so moved to just be there and be in that moment. And he told me that Hawaii taught him how to live in the moment, which is extraordinary because a lot of times I know, what it's like to worry about the future, worry about money, worry about your career, kind of try to renegotiate the past. But and so that was kind of major for me as well. I have to say that I really appreciated that sensibility that kind of was life-changing for me. But anyway, Jerry asked me to come home. He asked me to come back to Scottsdale so I could work with him on the beams.
Right.
And that's a whole...
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that, but you also helped, you were assisting with his beams endeavor as well, so... that
was
both
a big...
of us, we all did that for a while.
We did, and that was a major project. Maybe you'd be better at just kind of describing what the beams are, because the Kona house is where he came up with the idea, where he had these original ideas, very very crude versions of prototypical.
It's basically a way a person that really doesn't have or doesn't think they have any musical ability. It allows the person to play music. It's melodic, and you learn how to play it where it is different each time, and it just allows someone to interact with music by breaking laser beams. You're not really physically touching anything, but you're moving your hands and arms around or anything else you can think of. The beams, and it's a big hit in the occupational therapy world and with special needs.
This is another thing, honestly, about Jerry that moves me tremendously, especially thinking about these days, is that Jerry cared so much about, he believed in the power and the joy and the healing qualities of music. He really believed in that. And the notion that anybody that doesn't consider themselves as having musical talent, and I can relate to that, can play music is almost like a cure to half the world's problems in a way. I mean, that's really the way he thought.
Yeah.
And we also thought, well, not only that, right, but this can help people that are sort of struggling in a world because they have abilities that vary from the conventional abilities in the world. And this includes them in a way that other things don't. And that was hugely appealing to him as well.
And by the way, it was a hell of a lot of fun to play those too. You could just have
and it was
fun with
blast.
It.
And
Yes.
and you know,
whether or
all
not,
of your
even if you were a seasoned musician, you could still find a way to have fun with this device. Yes. So you know what I want to do? We're going to play some more music. Okay. I'm going to do another song that I know that you requested. This one is one that he has performed live. It's one of his later Jerry Riopelle songs. It was on his album. What was this song? This was on Tongue and Groove, and it's called Kill Me. Here's a song we don't get to hear a lot, right?
Cool. Yeah.
So
I
love
this song.
Yes.
Different mood.
Yes.
Switching mood tracks.
And he loved this song.
He loved it.
Yeah, he loved to play this song. And the band it was a fun song to play. But,
you would know.
Yeah, I would know. Anyway, let's take a listen. This is Kill Me.
Down on Lover's Lane, I hear her calling my name. Yeah. I follow in the darkness like a moth to a flame. There's nothing I can do. I hear the bell rings true. She was born to take me, and I was born her Kill me with love. I've seen too much, and I'll never see enough. Kill me with need, but tell me the truth. I'm never gonna be free. Down on Lover's Lane, all the lights are down. The music's playing fast, and she's dancing real slow. There's nothing I can do. Too many dreams are coming true. She was born to make me, and I was born her Kill me with love. Well, I've seen too much, and I'll never see enough. Kill me with need. I've seen too much, I'm never gonna be free. Never gonna. Down on Lover's Lane, slippery when wet. Dancing in the dark, with her crying on the bed. There's nothing I can do. Now it burns through and through. She was born to take me, and I was born her fool. Kill me kill me now, kill me with me. I've seen too much. I'm never gonna be.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Lots of interesting things going on in that record. Music-wise. Every-wise. It's good.
And it's so good to hear that, as you say, with headphones. I mean, there's so much happening, that recording.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And it, again, totally demonstrates his range, that he just didn't play ever the same song.
I remember the recording because I played a little guitar on that. One of the guitars, there's like 3 different guitars or something on there. And I remember being in his little studio in the bottom of the house,
in Kona.
In Kona, yes. And I remember we were vacationing, the family, in Hawaii, and we spent like a few hours one afternoon just putting some guitars on this new track that he had. So that was that. That was fun.
It's Diamond.
Yeah. So, Becky.
Yeah.
I want to play another song.
Okay.
Now, this one.
Uh-oh.
This is kind of an inside joke with you and me.
Oh, no. I already know what it is.
I want to play the song because I love it, and I'm really excited that I'm going to make you listen to it with headphones on.
I don't believe this. Okay.
Well, you better believe it.
This is very indulgent of us both. Thank you for this.
And this is an older...
And guess whose fault it is? It's not mine, so guess,
I'll be glad.
Okay.
Anyway, this is an early Jerry song. It's one of my... I love this song. I just...
I do too.
And I want to play it. It's originally on his second album, early 70s, 72 this came out. So let's listen to it. And it's a song that he did live early on, but not for a long time. Not for a long time. And it's called "I'll Be Glad to Take the Blame," and here it is.
Yeah, I get laughs like this all the time. Drink up, woman.
Well, I can be found hunting your front door, telling you that better lies have gone down before. But don't turn your back on this musical man. You break his heart, he gonna break your back as sure as he can. Don't you let your lies be feeling. Won't you let your cry be your name? It's time to let your heart do the healing. I'll be glad to take the blame. Well, I can still hear that voice in the sky telling me that better things have died in your eyes. Well, I can still see that look on your face telling me that I could always be out of place. Don't you let your lies be feelings. Won't you let your cry be your name? It's time to let your heart do the healing. I'll be glad to take the blame. Well, I may be lost, but I could be found. I can still hear the water when there's no one around. If I could somehow show you the truth, you would know that I've always been here with you. I'll be glad to take the blame. Well, I can still hear that
How did it go?
Oh, I love so many of those early songs,
Yeah.
Paul. You know,
I think that one. I think I gravitated toward it early on as a kid, and I think that's why it stuck with me. I love that song. I love it. I was crying while I was listening to it. Interestingly enough,
yeah, I do that a lot.
I like his voice in those early records. He's finding his voice still.
Yeah.
But there's a young rawness and emotional thing. It's just, I don't know. But I just dig that track. So
I agree.
And
with
we
you
joke.
so
I don't
much.
even know how the joke.
Oh, I
started.
remember.
Okay, then tell me.
No, okay. Well, yeah, sure. I used to brag about how well I knew the catalog, how well I knew the songs, because I felt like I did.
Yeah.
I still feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I would kind of run down the songs, even with Jer and with you, and just he would say, "What about this?" We would just name a song, and I'd say this, and you would really get into. I mean, you're more competitive. You were just like, "Oh yeah, how'd you feel about nickels and dimes?"
Interestingly enough, the same album.
Right, it is the same album, and "She My Woman" from that same album.
Well, actually, that was the previous.
Is that the
album.
previous? That's the previous.
But but the same.
But I like that same.
Yes. But anyway, so go. Yeah, let me hear it.
But anyway, you mentioned that song, but I was ready to skip over that one and just talk about something else. But you were like, "You don't know that song," and I was like, "Yes, I do." And you were like, "No, you don't. Sing it right now." And I was like, "Well, I know it. I'm just wanting to talk about, Rubber Band Man." I mean, I'm kidding. And but you refused to believe that I knew it. And so that's what you've carried with you for the past 15 years is that.
Well, didn't Jerry pipe in at some point, like with you don't know that song? You don't like that song? Wasn't there something like that?
Yeah, I'm sure it was because.
Oh, boy.
It was fun because honestly, fangirl radar here once again. How often do you get to talk to your favorite singer-songwriter and his son about his songs, and how do you feel about this one? Oh, you don't know that one? I mean,
Oh, yeah. Oh.
What if Ray Charles asked you that question?
Right. Yeah, anyway. That's
How do you like Georgia on My Mind?
What's my origin, right? Well, Becky, thank you so much. This was fun. Thank you for the stories.
That's a joy. I'm so honored too. This is lovely. I love this show. I love all the folks that you've had on it. It makes me feel really great to be part of this. So thank you.
I'm so glad you visited the room.
Yeah, anytime.
And we'll do it again. And
okay.
And I think I know you know this. I've got the idea to put another tribute together.
I know. I didn't know that you were spilling on that.
Well, I'm spilling only on the fact that I'm want to put it together. I'm not spilling on anything more than that right now.
Oh, I know. The tribute show was absolutely splendid.
It was really great. Yes, magical.
And everybody said they'd come back.
Yeah,
and that was like they should and they will. I bet. Yeah.
All right, Becky. Thank you.
Okay, Paulsville, Mayor, Your Honor.
And we didn't even talk about that, did we?
Mayor Lovekin, Honorary Mayor of Blythe, California, everybody. Yes. Hope you know who you're listening to, people.
Becky's favorite vacation spot.
Oh, in a big way.
Huge.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Everybody knows me there.
All right. Everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time in the Riopelle Room.